Hello, everybody. Welcome to Abyssus. I am very excited to bring this to you. This is probably one of my most look forward to games of this year. I remember seeing a trailer about it not too long ago. Um, Another cooperative roguelite shooter, but this one seems pretty aesthetic. Seems like they know what they're looking for, they know what they're going for, and if I dare say it, I think they're executing it quite well. So this is a almost Bioshock themed roguelite shooter. You're kind of in an underwater area. You're not underwater, but you're in like almost like a dome underwater. And there's even a callback to Bioshock in this. In the cosmetic, you can get a Bioshock style helmet for your little diver man. The music so far pretty good. Sound effects are all pretty banging. The shooting feels nice. Altogether, super solid. One thing, the demo does not save any progress, so every time you boot up, you will have to redo the tutorial. You can skip it. I think we'll walk through it just so you guys can get a feel for what's going on. I have done a couple runs of this. I have gotten to the end of the demo, and I gotta say, I only have one single complaint, which is really good for a demo, and it is a minor complaint at that. So let's get into it. This is just saying W to move, of course, and mouse to look around. We'll grab our engine rifle here. Big Daka machine gun. So there are several weapons. I believe you can unlock 4 in the demo, and I have found, I think, 2 abilities in the demo as well. So by default, your ability is going to be a grenade. You have multiple charges. Every gun has a left click and a right click. So the right click, as you can see, kind of has a faster shooting but overheat mechanic. Again, like, I mean, even the reticle for the overheat mechanic, the sound effect for the overheat, it's all very well made. You will see soon my one complaint. So again, movement feels pretty smooth. You gotta jump, you gotta double jump. Here is my single complaint. The dash feels a little too fast. It feels almost jarring how quick you do it. It is easy to adapt to, but the first time you do it, it just feels a little. It's almost like a teleport, in my opinion. How fast you move. You can double jump and then dash, of course, for an aerial dash, and that's just telling us about our primary fire, secondary fire, and ability. Let's just kill this one with the grenades, which is our ability, and then we do have a melee as well. The melee is actually, I wouldn't say the damage on it is great, but it does stun an enemy when you hit them with it. And then if you can only carry one little charm, which we'll explain later, and if you melee a charm, it gives you a gold refund for that. So we will just kill some enemies, and the shooting again feels very good. So far, these starting enemies are like pretty basic. I have gotten again to the second area just before the second boss is where the demo ends. The second area enemies do get a little bit more intense. I think all over the enemies could probably be spiced up a little bit, but with it being an early demo, and they're, again, only Area 2, there's definitely room for them to make it more impressive. So this is going to be kind of overwhelming at first, but it's actually pretty simple. This is our gold count, how much damage we've done, our keys, we got our gun, our ability. So these are going to be our blessings. You can have one blessing per primary fire, secondary fire, and ability, which I'll explain in a second, but I think I can walk you through it. And then these are modifier slots. So as you progress, you get modifiers for the blessing that you choose. And honestly, the blessings feel really nice. Like, they fit the aesthetic of the game. They are very smooth for the most part. Anywhere from chain lightning to, you do enough damage and you build up like an overshield on yourself. And it's been really incredible, even just in demo form, how good this game feels. So let's choose a blessing, and of course it's saying there's 10 different aspects. We will choose one. Looks like we got fire. We don't have a choice early, and so here we go. So again, you can only have one ability or blessing per primary, secondary, or ability. So we have to choose if we want it on our primary or our ability. Let's go with our primary. So our primary now has a chance to set an enemy on fire. So every single bullet we shoot has a chance to light an enemy up. There are little lore tidbits. Pretty nice. Press C to heal, you get 1 syringe. There is meta progression, but again, your data is not saved. So if you close the game, between runs, you can do meta progression, unlock more syringes, unlock starting with golden keys, etc. But between sessions, if you decide to close the game, you will be restarting from 0 meta progress. So probably not worth investing in too much outside of like a per session basis. But as you can see, we shoot something Let's see if we can find a single enemy. Nope, we did too good and killed them all. Alright, and here we go. So we get another choice of blessing here. We get fire. Triggering a flare causes all enemies afflicted by your fire to also flare. Excludes flares triggered by fire. Spreading flames. When an enemy dies while on fire, it spreads to one nearby enemy. I do love spreading dots. It is one of my favorite pastime activities. And here are our charms. Again, you can only have one equipped. Destroying charms with melee attack spawns gold. So we deal 25% more damage to enemies within 10 meters, or 30% more damage to enemies further away. Let's take the further away one. I took the close one last time. And if we punch it, it explodes into gold, which I think auto picks up. Like, I don't think we have to... Yeah, there it goes. Again, super good sound effects. The ceramic breaking, the gold pickup, all really nice, I think. And yeah, so the abilities, they recharge over time. As far as I can tell, there's no extra cooldown for dealing damage or anything. You do seem to get all your charges back at the end of a room, though, so just pop them off. The only other ability I've discovered is a turret, which you can deploy, and that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's very enjoyable. Fire can now stack, increasing fire damage over time. Flaring further increases fire stacks by 1. So again, we're just stacking fire. We only have a modifier for our primary, which again, you can see here. It doesn't seem like you can... Oh, there it goes. It is letting me hover. It was just being kind of picky for a second, but you can see your numbers and everything, and then you can see your modifiers. Again, it's seems a little picky. Like if I stop here, it doesn't pop up. Not sure what that's about, but it works. It works for the meantime. Again, journals, tab to see inventory. We're just going to push on through. This is just a simple let's look at. I think I will likely take you through a single run. This is my first breakthrough into YouTube. I was so inspired by playing this game. Oh, check this out. There's little blue things you can shoot. Little surge fissures. Not really sure what those do. I know if you... Minor spoiler, there is stuff to explore in this hub. And if you explore enough and shoot those, you will get a little paint cosmetic. You'll get this right here. So you get some. There's lots of unlocks. Again, cosmetics. You can see the Bioshock helm I was referencing earlier. There you go. Very old model found in another sunken city. But there's plenty of cosmetics, plenty of helmets. The bodies are a little lacking. There's only 4, which, you know, not bad for a demo. I think there's definitely room to expand that. Looks like there's plenty of color patterns. You got emotes. You got different voices. What's delightful is you can do a sing. Do a little sea shanty. And if your buddies are with you, they can click it and they will kind of hum along like a background singer. So here's our meta progress. Again, you progress up. Pretty much the whole path is like extra syringe, blah, blah, blah. But there's plenty of cool things, like, where's it at? This right here, Ancient Forge, a forge that upgrades your weapon. This thing is crucial. If you try this game, I absolutely recommend you getting more syringes, of course, and then unlocking this immediately. It allows you to directly upgrade your gun ability, etc. And then over here seems to be some sort of difficulty modifier. I wasn't able to interact with it because I wasn't the host in the game that we played. I did play co-op. The co-op works fine. No real complaints, but let's get into a run. Let's see what an actual run looks like, and we will we'll get right into it. I'm not sure what the price point for this game is going to be. This is just a blind, well, I guess not really blind. I did play a little bit, about an hour or two. But I just have a lot of faith in this game. It seems it has a really solid foundation for a demo, and I think it could be a really, really nice roguelike shooter for people to pick up. So I wanted to shed some light on it if I could. If one person sees this and decides, hey, this game's pretty sick, then I will have done my part, you know? I do love kind of giving some exposure to indie devs. It's what my whole vibe is about, really, for the stream. I do stream, by the way, Vile Downfall on Twitch. I will be live tonight when I post this video. Not on this, ironically, on a different roguelike, but that is not the point of the video. But I do love indies. I think you can tell when an indie developer really puts their, like, you can tell when they love what they're doing. Like, when they have a passion for their project, the game just, you can feel it in the gameplay. And I think this is one of them. It's very, I want to say like Borderlands. It's very Borderlands in the shooting, but very Bioshock in the aesthetic, if that makes sense. Altogether, amazing, though. So you will find little chests. It actually took me an embarrassing amount of time to realize this, and I didn't even realize that my friend did. Again, all the little gold bases drop gold. You can just see them on the map. So, like, some rooms will have a chest. You just walk up to the chest and open it. This one does require a key, so we cannot open it. I think the key chests always drop 2 items as opposed to the regular ones that only drop 1. So it is worth cracking them open. But unfortunately, we do not start with a key. Again, no meta progress. But that's probably best for the little let's look at style video that we're going for here. So let's choose an aspect. So now we get a choice. I am a fan of summoning, so I will probably go for tentacles here. But again, we choose our aspect, and then we choose what it goes on to. So I want to go for tentacles here, because I think the tentacles are really good, and I love summoning an army of men. And then I think I might go for tentacle grenades, because there is a limit to how many tentacles you can have. So I think putting it on the high rate of fire is going to be kind of a bummer. But we'll put it on the grenades here, and so now when we hit things with our grenades, they will spawn a little tentacle that hurls rocks and minor spoilers for modifiers, other things that can be quite beneficial to us. That certainly looks like a death pit right in front of the spawn. That's an interesting choice. Kind of a funny one if you ask me. You can't really interact with the fish that I've seen. So let's see if we throw a grenade. There's a little tentacle buddy. And there he goes throwing rocks. They hit pretty hard. Really solid modifier. This is my least favorite enemy in the game. He just rushes you down, and he is absolutely terrifying to deal with, I'm not going to lie to you. Fast-moving things intimidate me, both in real life and in game. I'm afraid of the ocean. All my ocean fears rise up. Thalassophobia, I think is what it's called, if I remember correctly. I'm kind of drawing a mind blank on it right now. But, so this game is a really interesting delve into things that terrify me, I guess. We're just gonna mow these guys down. It does seem like they're scaling for multiplayer, because I definitely remember these guys being a little bit tankier last night, which checks out, of course. There are little breach surges hidden throughout the levels. I'm not sure if there's one on this stage that I can show to you, but they'll be hidden away, like in the corners, like over those little spires and such. And again, just kind of like a consistent little unlock system. You just kind of shoot them, and then it gives you like the little voice line that you killed them, etc. And so there are rooms like this where you are required to do objectives, like this one. We stand inside this circle, we charge these towers, and we get our objectives done. Enemies will not stop spawning until you are done with the objective. So it is good to get them done, but obviously don't stand in this circle to your own detriment. Once you finish the objective, the enemies will stop spawning more, but you do have to finish off the ones that are already present, which isn't too much of an ask. And I've seen some different objectives. There's some really interesting ones. There's like escort quest ones. There's like the tower ones. There's ones like the stand on little plates. I think they've got a lot cooking here. Again, I think you can really feel the love the developer had for the game, and it's so inspiring to get my hands on something that you can feel. I do love lightning, so we can get chain lightning from lightning. This is the one where you shoot, it fills a bar at the bottom. When the bar fills up, you generate a shield. I love lightning on the secondary fire, because the way chain lightning works is it doesn't just chain off the enemy that you hit, it does its damage to the enemy that is hit. So we're going to fight a little mini-boss here. And you can see, so you see when it procs, you can see the blue number that appears on the boss itself. He does take the damage as well, which is incredible, I think, for a chain lightning mechanic. Usually it's more of an AoE focus, but that makes the chain lightning into totally viable for single target as well. And with it being a 30% chance to happen, I think the secondary fire, which shoots a ton of bullets super fast, makes it a totally valuable option. Totally valuable and viable at that. And we'll summon our tentacles. Try not to get hit, which we've done a really good job of so far, by the way. Flawless. There are modifiers. I've seen a charm that gives you 40% more damage while you're at max health, so that is worthwhile. Here's a Rune of Vitality for a max health increase. This is just a heal, which we don't necessarily need. Soul Fragment. This is our meta currency that unlocks, like I said, the extra syringe. And here's our charm. Deal 10% more damage for every minor and major blessing. That's actually kind of big ups for us, as we already have absolutely 0 blessings. So hopefully that becomes a little bit more valuable in the future. Did I forget something? Why is that? Nope, I think it's just a weird UI thing. Okay, so right over here, again, minor spoiler, another journal entry. You unlock a shotgun here, which we can start our next run with if we wanted to, again, as long as we do not close our game. What do we want to put on our primary fire? We could do freeze, which I think is actually very valuable. I've never actually seen the gold burst one. I would love to try it out, but for the sake of the video, let's get a good run going. So we will add frost to our primary fire, which will freeze enemies solid. So we can freeze them solid with primary, light them up with the lightning chain secondary, and then maybe summon some little squiggly tentacle boys on them with our grenade. And I think altogether we have a very solid run being made. So let's get this. So you can see that blue bar, and he died before he could freeze. But yeah, see, so the flying guys freeze over completely and fall out of the sky and everything. So frost is pretty sick. These guys can be quite a nuisance. They're not too bad as long as you are keeping your mind on them. But as soon as you forget about them, they will sneak up on you in absolutely no time flat. There are just death pits in these levels, so be careful not to fall into those. It is not permadeath, but you will take, I believe, about 10 damage when you fall and respawn back up on the stage. So it can certainly add up over time, and they have really snuck some of those pits into some absolutely diabolical locations. So I would recommend you looking before you leap, if you will. So we're getting back to it. Again, run is totally solid so far. I do think the minigun is my favorite weapon. I am something of a DACA enjoyer, so I will forever appreciate the high rate of fire weapons, especially in a game like this where you have a percentage chance to proc an effect, like chain lightning. Some of the other weapons I've seen, there is a scoped revolver, which does about 140 damage with a crit, and then if you scope it, it does about 300 per crit shot, which is incredible. I do think it goes really well with chain lightning as well, actually, and the way that works is your right click is your scope, and any shot you make while right clicking is considered a secondary fire. That chain lightning, again, will double your damage on some shots, and it will chain that same, like, 300 out to other people. Really unfortunate we got another key chest here. We're feeling the burn on that one a little bit, but we push on anyways. And again, there's a shotgun, which I believe pretty straightforward. My buddy, he ran it last night. He compared it to something of a Doom-esque feeling once he got some upgrades for it. So we got to destroy these pylons. Nothing crazy. He was pretty stoked about it. He got some good upgrades. He got some good stuff. The right click kind of does damage and bounces you, so you can like almost scout style shoot and like launch yourself up in the air. But he said once he got some like higher rate of fire and stuff, it felt very much so like Doom. He turned himself into a Doom guy, is what he said. So if that's your vibe, I'm not much of a shotgun enjoyer myself, but if that's your vibe, then maybe that's for you. And the last gun that I've seen is a Tesla gun, which is unlocked, I believe, just after, like right at the end of the demo. So you would have to basically beat the demo and then start a new run to test it out. Which I tested it in the shooting range, which does exist, but I did not show you in the hub because I forgot about it. It shoots a laser, which is just like a constant damage stream, and then your right click, you charge up a little ball that shoots out, and it does like a radius around it. It zaps things with lightning. It's pretty cool. It seems really viable. And so here's where it gets a little bit more interesting. So now, our tentacle is on our ability. Our chain lightning is on our right click. We can choose one of two, of course, and then we choose a modifier. So let's go with tentacle. And now we get to choose, we add explosives to the pool of objects, dealing 100 damage in an area on hit, or tentacles deal 25% more damage if there's only one enemy near the tentacle. So we choose modifiers for these, and of course that does only apply to what we apply the aspects to. So let's go with focused, because it'll be good for a boss fight, which I think we need some more single target damage. I have seen some pretty cool modifiers. I've seen one where you throw a snail instead, and that snail slows and makes an enemy take more damage, which is super valuable. I think it's like 15 or 25%. It might be 15% more damage, which adds up. You know, it adds up quick. Here's our first boss. He can be a little bit of a menace if you don't know what to expect. Thankfully, I do know what to expect, so hopefully I don't embarrass myself here. So he does little pulses. He does a little jump attack, which can be quite menacing, but not too bad. And he has 3 phases, as you can see at the top there. You can see his frost bar building up as I left click him, and then you can see his health bar segmented into 3 different parts. So we will just light this guy up, hit him with some grenades, get away from him for this, and about it for phase 1. As we push into phase 2 here, he will float up in what looks like a big menacing D20. He will raise some pylons out of the floor, and he will make some segments of floor just hurt to be around. So you don't want to touch those the red squares. You want to stay off of those, and you want to burst these pylons down. There's one, and it looks like he fell down already. So now we just gotta deal with these advertisements. Advertisements? Yeah, we're gonna go with that. We're gonna deal with these advertisements. I meant to say ads, but brain's feeling a little fried today, I guess. we will continue to run away from the boss. Hit him with as many grenades as we can, swing at our little tentacle guys, because they do 25% more damage against single target enemies, which can add up pretty darn quickly. We are already halfway through phase 2. Nothing crazy mix-up here, just an extra pulse added on to the pulse mechanic that he does, this right here. He adds a pulse for every phase, and then he also does the damage squares kind of haphazardly around the room. It does actually seem to follow some sort of pattern. They usually do like T-shapes, etc. And then now we are pushing into phase 3. We will simply light this crystal up while not taking damage. I do not recommend walking backwards. I did lose a run last night because I was walking backwards in this phase before I realized the squares hurt you, and I may have fallen down. And so for phase 3, you get a delightful charge mechanic, which absolutely terrifies me because I feel like I cannot possibly outrun it. I think it's better to be about mid-range from it, maybe try to strafe it the first time, dash the second, and then strafe again the third. That's kind of the pattern I've had the most luck with, but I panic and hit the dash every single time anyways. It looks like you only have to use the dash if you're pretty close, so keep that in mind if you plan on trying it. We do have a syringe still. Oh, jumped a little early, but we're good. You do have a pretty good mid-air control, so you can kind of maneuver around. And we beat the first boss without even using our syringe. So the body parts do kind of become physics enabled. They are kind of in the way. I'm not sure if the developers want to do something to kind of push these away from the loot a little bit or make the loot more visible. You can't shoot them. You can kind of kick them, but they do kind of get in the way. So here we have another max health increase, some more meta currency, and a charm. You shoot 2 additional projectiles diagonally left and right. I do think this one's fun. I do not want to take it for the purpose of this video. It doesn't really, so I had it last night. I couldn't tell, like I didn't see a visual indicator for the bullets coming out left and right. So I couldn't tell how close I needed to be to an enemy to get like all 3 to hit. But if you got close enough, you could see the damage numbers for each bullet hitting above their head. So we're going to turn this into gold. I think we get more because it was legendary. Some of you will think that is a boring choice, but honestly, although I love the thought of that modifier, I was kind of uninspired by it. Again, I think the visual indicator of where the bullets are going would make a huge difference. I also think that would be super fun to get on a shotgun. Call me crazy. So this is our second ability. It is a turret, which again, we cannot... Sorry, I've developed the hiccups. We cannot use yet. Because we are still in the run. I love the turret. I'm a huge summoner fan, as I said before. And once you unlock the ability for it, you can add like 3 charges. And so I would go into a room and go boop, 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 drop all 4 turrets, and they would just light the room up. And I had tentacles on them, so my summons were summoning summons, and that shit cracked me up. I did just swear, but we're more than 15 minutes into the video. What's the thing? Like, you don't want to swear like 30 seconds into your YouTube video because YouTube will hit you with a hammer or something. That's probably something I should work on. But anyways, it does seem like the scaling is pretty simple for single player. There were so many more enemies last night. We were playing with 3 people, and honestly, like, it felt very bullet hell. We were kind of running for our lives. So we will continue on through here. Again, the game does end shortly before the second boss, but this is the second area. I actually love the aesthetic of it. Big fan of frogs. I think frogs are very cute. I think they're adorable. And although it pains me to do so, I will put them down. I just love seeing the frog representation in video games. One of my favorite genres of a character. Genre? Cliches? Those aren't the words I'm looking for. Archetype. One of my favorite archetypes of character is like a frog knight. I've seen that recently in a game called Cauldron. Again, with the key chest, we are getting absolutely boned here. We're getting robbed, if I do say so myself. My favorite archetype is a little frog knight, like a little frog in armor with like a sword. The cutest thing I've ever seen in my life, you know? Like, how are you gonna one-up that? So we will continue on here. Just mowing these frogs down. There's a couple enemies I haven't seen yet in this let's look at video here. So there is a kind of a floating frog that like holds like a bundle of eggs, and it does some sort of tether effect on the little frogs here that like makes them invincible until you take the one out in the air, like almost like a shield drone or something. And then when he dies, he falls, drops a couple eggs on the ground, and they do turn into little explodey frogs, so you gotta keep an eye out for that. And the other enemy, to the best of my ability of description, is what seems to be a turtle roadhog. He is an absolute menace, and you should not get anywhere near him. He will, of course, roadhog hook you. But even worse than that, he does a massive AoE around him and like a full sphere around his existence, and it will smear you. It will absolutely smear you across the ground, so just keep an eye out for that. Keep your distance if you can, and hopefully I can give you an example. So here's another objective. We got to destroy these little healing flowers. I'm sure you just saw that little guy float through the air there. That's the little shield drone I was telling you about. They seem weirdly, now that I'm taking like kind of a closer look at them, they seem weirdly undetailed compared to some of the other characters. Not a complaint necessarily, just an observation. They feel naked. I guess that's what I'm going for. Like every other character has like little headdresses on. Like a lot of these little frogs, they got, you know, they got little loincloths and headdresses, and then their shield drones are pretty naked. So as you can see, they're making pretty much everything on the floor invincible. Kind of a pain, but that's pretty sure that's the point of them, is to be a pain. So they're doing their job perfectly, and we are now clear. So they do spawn again, so you see they spawn these little explodey guys down here. I was trying to show you, but they all ran away. There we go. These guys right here, they just hop towards you and explode. That's their whole thing. Nothing crazy. Kind of just like a Zerg Rush style, like make you panic. But if you keep your head clear, pretty good to go. I guess I haven't really showed it off. A lot of the enemies have like red damage. Like, is this guy gonna do one? There you go. So they give you like kind of an indicator for what their damage area is gonna look like. Other ones, like, I'm sure you saw that guy do, like, a weird dagger dash thing. They do not have any kind of indicator. They just do the dash. And then, of course, they spit out the little explosives. There are shops, as you might have surmised by gold existing. We have not seen one, despite being, I would consider, pretty well off at this point. But it's a roguelite, you know? I'm not sure if we can actually get rid of those eggs. I haven't quite figured that out. But oh, we are taking quite a bit of damage here. So we're gonna pop our syringe. There you go. Again, we only have one per floor currently. Meta progress unlocks more. There are little altars that kind of refill them as well. Oh, here you go. Here's a in-level chest that I was telling you about. Our first non-key chest, and it's just gold. Good thing we have all those shops available. I do think there's a shop before the final boss of the demo. Another key chest. At this point, fate is laughing in my face. Looks like we're getting another blessing here. Just pepper some grenades that way. Light up the little Frody shield drone boys. Looks like there's another in-level chest there, as you saw on the left. It doesn't look like the chest is indicated on the map while you're clearing enemies, which is probably good. I know how some of you loot goblins are. You can't turn away from a good loot session even mid-fight. I am the exact same way, so I am not shaming you. We will come over here, hopefully not just get gold, and just get gold. Let's choose another blessing. Let's go. Let's upgrade our lightning a little bit. Chain lightning has a 20% chance to call down thunder strikes. That sounds amazing. The last chain lightning in a chain is guaranteed critical after bouncing the maximum amount of times. Also seems pretty cool. I feel like that's gonna be better in a multiplayer environment where there are more enemies. Let's go with thunder strikes. That's a little bonus for you guys who have stuck around this long. I'm not good at singing, but I do enjoy it. You know, it is what it's the blight of the tone deaf. Here's our roadhog style enemy. We will stay as far with him as we can. So there's this little laser showing you that we're gonna get hooked. I don't want to be here. And there's his massive donut AoE, and by donut I mean sphere. Not the same thing, but pretend I didn't say the first thing. So as you can see, it is quite large. You actually couldn't see it at first when I started talking about it until I backed up further and we were fully out of it. It does. It's quite sizable. It makes other frogs envious, I assure you. We will just keep mowing down, not get hooked here. Take the jump pad. and push to the other side of the map because I am afraid. I do think the indicator for the grapple hook could be a little bit more detailed. The red line doesn't look too bad until you get all the way to the end of it, in my opinion. And then it kind of looks a little bit strange because it just ends, right? There's no designed end to it. It's just a line that ends, which comes across as a little weird. What is? Oh, this guy right here. So this guy is just a big healer. He's a total pain, and I do not recommend letting him survive. I believe he also summons the little exploding boys as well. Basically everything. Oh no, these little eggs are. Okay, well, shucks to me, I guess. This is just a situation where I am ignorant and did not pay attention to the objective, which is very clearly indicated on the side of my screen, and I'm sure probably popped up across the top because I was too busy talking to myself and thus you guys. It very obviously says destroy the spawners right there. So that's on me. That's not on the game devs. I was too busy complaining about my free demo and, and the graphic of a single red line to read my objective, so that's on me. I do think that the indicator for the grapple hook could be a little bit more clear, or at least a little bit nicer looking. The red line, again, doesn't look bad here, but once you get to the end of it, it just ends, which is, I think, kind of a weird vibe. I'm sure it's just a placeholder for the time being, because everything else does look like, again, even just the indicator for the overheat mechanic on the turret, on the Gatling gun, has such a nice aesthetic. As you can see, I did not accidentally jump off the map there. I was simply demonstrating to you guys that there is a health cost for falling off the map. Again, totally intentional, not at all on accident. You're welcome for the knowledge. But yeah, I just feel like the indication of even just like the overheat UI, like it's so detailed and nice that I feel like that red line has to be a placeholder. So again, not a complaint, just an observation. And I think this is going to be our last room before the final boss here of the demo, of course, not of the entire game. The game does seem quite long, which I am a fan of. Longer style roguelikes, I think more games could benefit from being a little bit longer. Like fast-paced, but still a little bit longer, so where you feel like you're really building a build. Like you're putting the pieces together, you're not just getting given a build, you know? And I do feel like this game specifically, has that vibe down pretty well, because again, you choose what aspect you want on your different abilities, your primary, secondary, and ability itself, of course, and then you choose your modifiers. It looks like this guy is stuck on the corner. I have noticed these guys, I don't know if it's because of their size, they do seem to get stuck pretty easily on terrain. I'm not going to sit here and cheese it for the sake of the video. We will walk around and get back into the actual fight as intended, I think. So there we go, he's unstuck now. Again, I'm not sure, I guess it's just his size. He's a little bit clumsy. Big fellows get that way sometimes. I speak as a big fellow myself. As you can see, that AoE is absolutely massive, which that might cost me the boss fight here, and you guys will see what happens when you lose, I think, because I have no healing left, and I'm not super familiar with this boss. I did only fight him once, and it was on an incredibly strong run last night, where we kind of stomped him out before I saw any mechanics fully, so... Spoilers, our future is not bright. Though it doesn't look like we're fighting the boss just yet, we may not even see him. And if that's the case, then so be it. I think I'm just going to walk you guys through one run. I was considering doing two, but we are coming up on 35 minutes now for this video. And I think that is quite enough for a Let's Look At. I'm going to go Splattercat style, I think, with my Let's Look Ats. First of all, they're going to be very inconsistent. I was just really inspired by this game. I wanted a reason to play it today. And I was like, you know what, man, I've not really made a good YouTube video. I've just been uploading shorts from like Twitch clips, etc. So let's make a Let's Look At. And you know who makes delightful roguelike Let's Look Ats? Roguelite indie games in general, I mean. Splattercat Gaming, man. Shout out Splattercat Gaming. If any of you have gotten this far, one, you're in it for the love of the game because this has been a rookie's Let's Look At, and we have died. So this is what the death screen looks like. Again, totally intentional. Wanted you guys to see what it looks like. What I was going to say is shout out Splattercat. If you guys haven't checked him out, which I'm sure you have if you're this far in because you're in for the love of the game, and that man has love for the game, you should absolutely check him out. So there's, again, tons of unlocks. Shotgun, more soul fragments just for beating bosses, turrets. We unlocked a new charm. Kind of a nice little... I actually really appreciate this. It gives you like a really detailed breakdown. Accuracy, weak spot accuracy, time, 340,000 damage dealt. Huge fan of the damage dealt. Make sure you hit return to lobby if you want to continue playing. If you hit main menu, you will lose your progress. You will absolutely lose your progress. So here's a fun thing. Here's your revolver right here, by the way. You can do that before you even start your first run. You can swap to your revolver. Each of these has three different ways to shoot. So you got automatic, burst fire, Gatling, and then your secondary you have engine rev, split shot, and concentrated shot, and that goes for every gun. So if you go to the shotgun, you can see that we have 3 different things. And if you go to secondary, if you go to the shotgun, you can see we have 3 different things. Fully automatic, super heavy slug. And there's different modifiers, and of course here are our abilities. I love the little turret guy. Let's check him out real quick. There he is, isn't he cute? They stick around for quite a long while. They lock on. It doesn't seem like they miss. They're just a consistent damage. Let's come over here and unlock some stuff. Syringe, of course. Let's do gun damage. And there's our Ancient Forge, which we are just short of upgrading. Again, absolutely recommend this upgrade. It makes your run so much more fun and viable. And then we didn't get a brine canister because we didn't beat the boss, but we could increase the difficulty of the runs here, which I assume unlocks some sort of probably more currency, or maybe even like a true ending of some sort. That's usually how that goes. Again, there are things to explore around the hub if you have nothing else to do. Absolutely recommend you taking a look at that. And then again, there is a shooting range here. You can change your guns. You can make them move. You can turn on the static ones. You can turn on the flying. You can turn on time trial. Pretty solid. Low ammo count. See, just about doubles your damage when you're scoped in. Really solid gun on the revolver. But that's it, guys. That's Abyssus. Again, super aesthetic, super fun, showing a ton of promise. I absolutely recommend you guys check this out if you're into roguelikes at all, roguelike shooters specifically. This one has a ton of potential, and I would love to see the developers flesh it out, get the opportunity to show what they can flex. And I'll catch you guys next time.